Men really obsess about height, looks, money, penis size. Those are things that men obsess about when it comes to dating and relationships. They do. They don't say the penis size one unless you get them in a men's circle to talk about sex. But, and I'm asking you, like, honestly, from the women that you work with and women you've worked with, maybe even discounting what the women say, but looking at what they actually do and the men they actually gravitate towards and the men they actually end up in relationships with, are that trifecta of money, looks, and height important?
I guess it depends what woman you ask. But with the type of women that I work for, I mean, never has it come up, oh, his penis wasn't big enough, so I'm not going to take it. Never, just putting that out there. I have heard some women in terms of height that they want a guy who's taller than them. That being said, I think at the end of the day, really, people just care about how you make them feel. And so I think the height thing, for instance, or even just like physical, how your physical body looks, stuff like that. I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that women are drawn to a man who they might associate with being a protector. And then in terms of the financial element, I do think there's a part of women that are drawn to a man who shows that he has a provider mindset, because I think that's the key thing as well, is that providing, I think men associate that with the wealth element, but providing for a woman in terms of what makes her feel good, it doesn't necessarily need to come in the form of finances. But that's why, like, for instance, on a first date with a woman, if you can just organize all the logistics and just make it as like enjoyable for her as possible so she can just relax, that is so attractive to a woman, and that is providing for her. And so I think to put it down to like just the finances or just the height or just these things, I think it's a bit more complex than that, because it's like, how do you make her feel? And it doesn't necessarily have to come in those specific forms. But if it ends up being that the guy pays for that date, then yes, there is an element of like the provider part coming in there, but it's more that how you then make her feel, because you're demonstrating to her that you have a provider mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes sense. Completely makes sense. I like how you framed it there, provider mindset. And that's what I heard you say, organizing of the date, for instance. I talk a lot about with men is this kind of masculine leadership of like being
Yeah.
able to go, as you said, with the feminine energy, the polar of that is the masculine energy and the masculine leadership of going, okay, I've asked this woman out. She said, yes, I'm going to take care of all the structure. I'm going to take care of the time, the
Yeah.
space, and the structure of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, hey, when are you free? I'm free on this day. Great. I was thinking we go and do this thing here, and then after that, we'll go and do this. How does that sound to you?
Yeah.
You know?
So nice for a woman to just
It is. It is. I know. I learned this many years ago. Create structure, because create structure for someone to step into. We all are looking for leadership in our lives, right? We're all looking for people to
Yeah.
lead us at times in our lives. I think it's important. I'm curious about the provider mindset, as you put there. What
Mm.
else do you see from the women you work with and your experience and so forth is part of this provider mindset? Because obviously, like you said, men think of provision very incorrectly as just money. Like money is the only thing. But the provider mindset, what I'm hearing, what you're saying, is a much larger energetic space. I'm curious, what else kind of do you see goes into the provider mindset?
Yeah, providing for her well-being in all ways, basically. And I think the key element here is wanting to, because you genuinely want the best for her well-being. Because there's a difference between, for instance, a man can, this is why also with my clients, when they say they want like a wealthy man or things like that, I'm like, well, what is it that you actually need below that? Because a wealthy man, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get financial safety with him.
Mm,
So, in terms of providing, like this, wanting to provide for a woman is very different than doing it because you have to, or because it makes you look good in front of other people or things like that. And I think you can tell that difference just based on how they I guess the consideration for your well-being, even just little things like, yeah, like when you're messaging a woman, for instance, just having consideration over, okay, I'm not going to take 3 days to reply to her. Okay, even if you're busy or something, if you're busy throughout the day and you're not going to be able to reply to her until the next day, just message and say, I've got a crazy day at work at the moment. I'm going to message you tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to chatting to you tomorrow. Just those kind of things that for me, that is providing for her well-being, because she's not going to be sat there wondering, does he like me? Does da, 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 just yeah, that extra level of consideration for her well-being. And just, yeah, as I said, in terms of the date, just having the consideration of I just want her to have the most relaxing time and she can just fully enjoy herself. So yeah, organizing all the the logistics of the date, things like that. Uh yeah, if she, I don't know, if she's not feeling well or something, then maybe like sending her a care package, or just those kind of consideration things that just show that you genuinely care about this woman's well-being, rather than just trying to get something out of her, like, you're okay, I'm just trying to sleep with her by the end of this or something like that. Um yeah, that's what I'd say around provider mindset.
Mm. So I'm hearing it's like, it's not just the provisioning and providing in this traditional sense, and even the leadership, as you know, the masculine leadership. There's the energy that it comes from. Like, is this energy from a kind of, I care about this woman and their well-being and what she needs and what's good for her, and also that's a kind of, to me in my world and how I explain this to my clients, that that's a kind of feeling and awareness exercise. You know, it's like, oh, what I know about this woman, oh, she's not feeling very well. Or what am I going to use my awareness to do with this? Like, she's not feeling very well. Do you know what might be really beautiful for her is me to send her, so very British of me, I'm going to send 5 packs of Lemsip.
Yeah. So
And I'm
attractive.
going to send over some chocolate and whatever. Like, we're going to send it to her place,
Yes,
right?
yes.
If we know what it is, that's that, taking the information we have,
Mm,
using discernment, using our kind of feeling capacity of like, what would bring her to a deeper state of care and love and feeling of being nurtured in that moment. And
yes.
that would be
Yeah.
to support her in that way, and taking that action and not second guessing in like, oh no, what's she going to think of me? She think I'm trying
Yeah.
too hard? Is she going to reject me if I do this? You know, that kind
Hmm.
of thing. Plus, you know, you talked about the well-being, but it's not just kind of a physical well-being. When you mentioned the, you know, considering, knowing you're going to be busy, into sending a message and go, hey, I'm really busy
Hmm.
right now, I'll get back to you in the next
Hmm.
48 hours, is
Yes,
considering her emotional and mental well-being and how your actions are
exactly.
impacting her, right? So you're
Exactly.
tending to her emotional and mental well-being in the tiniest of ways, right? Because as a man, he's used his awareness and his feeling to go, oh, this will support her in just having that calm, easeful nervous system, and not be feeling like she's left hanging, like grasping, wondering when I'm going to get back to her.
Exactly. Because I think, for in my opinion, the primary need of a woman in a relationship is safety. But I think a lot of men will interpret that as safety and perhaps the way that a man would understand it, of no one's gonna come beat me up, and no
Mm,
one's, a saber-toothed tiger isn't gonna come after me or something. But for a woman, emotional safety is such a big priority, and all of those micro actions that a man takes in terms of like consistency, for instance, if you ask women, that is such a attractive trait in a man, is when he's consistent with you. And taking actions as well. Something that I say actually is, if a man is not, so words, anyone can say words to a woman, well, to anyone obviously, but then in terms of the actions, if you see that a man is taking an action towards your well-being, and in a sense it's not the easiest option for him, like it kind of puts him out of his way in some way, that's when you know that that man is really interested in you. Because yeah, with those sorts of actions, um I just, yeah, that's the stuff that really creates emotional safety for a woman in a relationship. And yeah, I think maybe men, because of a man's association of what it means to feel safe, then maybe they underestimate how important those micro things are for a woman in a relationship or even in a dating scenario.